Well, there's a lot of things that they say. We're gonna make a sequel.
I was so mad that they did.
The first movie just kind of goes.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so you are tuned in to Aimless Banter with Jessica Darkstar, David Adkins, and I don't remember your name. So, they haven't heard us for the past hour, and I couldn't figure out why it kept disconnecting us. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I was wondering, it sounded like you were fading in and out.
Basically, I was, trying to figure out what was going on, and it turns out that, the butt wasn't recording what we were saying, and that's why it wasn't working. I was like, why it keep disconnecting us? Oh my god, I wasted a whole hour thinking that we were being recorded. I hate you, butts. B-U-T-T!
So, we got nothing that we just talked about, right?
Yes, exactly. So everybody's like, we were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. Well, fuck. What do you want me to say? We were just talking to ourselves for an hour. I'm sorry. You are tuned in to Jessica Darkstar's Aimless Banter, and apparently we talked to ourselves for an hour without you. I'm sorry. And we were having fun. And having fun.
I don't mind doing Cockney.
You want to do Cockney?
You want to do Cockney?
I could actually do Cockney if I really want.
Oh,
you
yeah?
gotta think my agent's from, doing her boyfriend now Welsh. So I'm like, that's gonna be fun.
Don't say doing her boyfriend.
You are doing her boyfriend. Oh, did you get in trouble?
I'm too innocent for this conversation.
I think I broke her.
I think.
I'm fine, but inside I'm dying. I'm kidding.
For the love of God, what did you just say?
Nothing. Bye.
Oh, for the love.
Everything's fine.
Everything's just perfectly normal. I'm saying.
Peachy fine.
You had to start the rabbit hole.
I'm okay. We're okay. We've just been.
No hands. Here we go.
We talked about. What did we talk about since everybody missed it? We talked about Batman. We talked about Marvel. We talked about
Marvel versus DC.
Yes.
Oh yeah, then a lot of that comics that no longer exist because they were bought out or shut down.
And how do you feel about the whole Sony and Spider-Man?
My whole thing on that, I will say this much. People need to realize that Marvel is in it for the money. DC, in it for the money. Sony, in it for the money. The thing about it is if it costs too much to produce or they see not enough profit, they're going to pull out. There's just no way around it.
Yeah.
There has to be a certain dynamic. There has to be a certain contractual obligation. There has to be certain things that are put in line. And you're talking about a different culture that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people in America, because we've got such a melting pot, they don't seem to understand that we just went to Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay. You tell me how different it is there in the line of talk and the conversations and trends versus down here.
Oh, dude. I even just got back from Pennsylvania because we
We
dropped a friend
totally
off.
different.
We dropped a friend off at college.
Did you stop at Hershey?
No, I visited that place when I was younger.
I haven't been there.
No.
Yeah,
but I'm going
I
back
love
up
that
in like
place.
a month, so.
I love that place.
But like, everyone knew we were not from the area because we were so polite.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
because you were polite.
Pennsylvania's not nice.
The waiter comes and like gives us food, and like every single thing they put down, it was like, "Thank you. Do you want a refill? Yes, please. Thank you." And it was just like, "You're not from around here, are you?" No.
Yeah.
Question mark. How did you know this?
Are you kidding? I went to Wisconsin.
Oh, you went to
Colorado.
Wisconsin.
Both places.
I've been to Colorado and Wisconsin because I live in Illinois, so...
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And so what ended up happening is here I am going up there to meet somebody, and everybody I met knew I wasn't from around there. And you're talking about just that area, which they have very, very Western accent, but it's very down-toned.
Oh, goodness.
And here's the thing: when you're talking California, you're talking a whole different accent.
I know, I'm from there too.
But
My cousin lives there, but he's
they
not
got
from
what
there.
we call kind of a Polish accent that is very, very smooth, and they talk very slower, and it's really, really awkward when you go up there because you can't really pinpoint what the accent is, but you know it's there. Versus, say, Texans. Oh, jeez. It's not even a Southern accent. They got that Southern to a T. And you've got to do it a certain way with your mouth open instead of slurring.
Yes.
Because you don't slur in Texas.
And if he's offending any of you who might be from Texas, I am so sorry.
No, my cousins are from Texas, so yeah. My aunts,
You don't
my
have to
uncles,
worry about
I
that.
used to go to Corpus Christi a lot. And my cousins used to come down here a lot. And it's one of those things. She was absolutely gorgeous, but her accent threw me for a loop because I'm like, you're not from the South. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, she looked like she talked and acted exactly like she could put a boot up somebody's rear end.
Oh.
She was not that. She was really, really nice. But you wouldn't do that whole Virginia or Tennessee thing where,
She didn't
hi, honey,
tolerate anything.
Yeah, room, elbow space, no intrusions on personal space.
Was she
at all.
claustrophobic at all?
No.
No.
That's the way they are in Texas. Personal space, dude.
Keep out of my face.
So get
Exactly.
out of my bubble.
Yeah. they got
Bubble,
that
bubble,
thing going on.
toil and trouble.
Oh,
And
yeah.
see, in California, where I was from, it was all about getting all up in each other's face. Even when you greeted someone,
Yeah.
it's like
You're
high
right in their
five,
face.
The hands slide to a fist bump, and then you hug one shoulder. That's literally, it's like, what's up, homie? And you just, that was the way. It wasn't gay. It wasn't weird. You just hugged. Like the one shoulder thing, it was like, okay,
And you
good.
don't see that in North Carolina.
Oh, no, you
at
don't.
all. You can't.
The first time I moved here, I think I said, hi, homie. And like, I
Oh,
got
no.
the weirdest
Jeez.
looks on everything.
Oh, awkward.
I was like, okay, so no, homie, hombre.
Oh,
what
you
are we
went
going
south quick.
for? Huh?
You went south quick.
That's not Seth.
No, when you say hombre, everybody going, you don't want to say that word.
Well, no. I would say it to people who spoke Spanish.
It doesn't matter. Everybody else is going
Well,
to be
everyone
like,
else was
yeah.
like, what did you call me?
Uh-huh.
Y'all, I don't know what's up with this girl. And it was like,
Uh-huh.
that didn't go over well.
Yeah, pretty much.
But then I went back and visited my hometown in California a few years back. And the first thing I said to my old theater teacher, because they actually gave me permission to go on my old middle school, high school campus and walk through, I was like, yo, what's up?
Oh, no.
And they went, you are so weird. You say yo. And I literally did not even think about it. It just kind of came out of my mouth. I was like, well, okay then.
And then you got to think, my other uncle and her, okay, that whole side of my family, Boston.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's an accent.
We had to go up there.
That's all up in your nose accent.
Because it's my mom's brother. And you know how my mom is.
Yeah.
So here I am going up there and come through the door. And I said, what, huh? Don't just stand on the porch, get through the door. I'm like, okay. we in the mobster territory.
If it makes you feel better, my dad grew up here in North Carolina in this exact town. Like, we live in the house that he grew up in. He's got some family members, and we went to a funeral one time I swear I could not tell what this man was saying to me. And I felt so bad because I tried. I was like, okay, Shannon, you can do this. When he asks, like, when it sounds like a question, just nod your head, maybe talk with your hands a little bit. Keep it to family conversation. He was.
I've only had that issue
No,
when...
No, I can't talk.
I've only had that issue with family members that speak Polish.
Oh, nice.
And that's when I was really young, and then I learned the language as a young, so if I ever meet someone who speaks Polish now, I'm like,
yeah.
Please slow down, because I don't remember this.
Yeah.
This guy, his accent was just so thick. It was so broad, like it was slurred.
Was it
every
Southern,
single word,
or was it Northern?
It was straight Southern, but every word was so slurred.
He was the fast Southern talker.
No, not fast. Slow slurs that drew into every single word. So there was no enunciation. There
was no enunciation.
Yeah,
that sounds like a
my
nightmare.
cousin's aunt. She did the exact same thing. You get after it took me 3 years. I could finally understand her.
Well, he wasn't speaking Polish, but I'll tell you, it sounded like a whole nother language.
Oh, it does. Because,
it does.
You want to go?
Yeah, something like that. Yes. Every single word led into the next
right
one.
There, my aunt's just.
And I'm like, okay, I was raised reading books and
it's a really low
learning Shakespeare, so I'm used to alliteration and enunciation. And
they don't enunciate.
I totally understand what you're saying. No, I really.
My
don't.
public
Look,
speaking
I'm gonna go talk to
voice.
the family member. Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye. What?
Yes.
I don't understand a word you're saying. Do you understand the words coming out of my mouth? No one understands the words coming out of your mouth, right?
My cousins.
I love Jackie Chan.
Think of her name now. Was it Minnie? I want to say it was Minnie or something like that because the way they said it was weird.
Weird.
But she talked just like that. And I could actually talk straight back to her in that tone. And so me and her used to have conversations this, that, and the other. Then all of a sudden my mom would walk in and go, what in the world are y'all talking about? And I would just sit there and just bust out laughing, explain it to her, and she'd giggle. And so...
My mom would have busted in the room and been like, what witchcraft are y'all casting in here? Like, seriously.
It was great because my dad used to get frustrated. He never wanted to get near her because this one would say something. You're going to put a spell on me.
I'm gonna put a spell on you.
Yes.
And now you're mine. Gonna put a spell on you. Yeah. I like that song.
Yeah.
Hocus pocus, all your fault.
I think that I got a lot of my accents because of my family being from so many different parts. And then growing up with Mel Blanc. Because I was sitting here the whole time, and I would try over and over and over to do Bugs Bunny, and I couldn't ever do it. I could do almost every other voice
Bugs
but
Bunny.
Bugs. And Bugs has that Jersey accent.
Mm-hmm.
I could get the Jersey accent, but I couldn't get Bugs.
I can't do Donald. Donald for me is harder. It's that nasal rasp, and I can't access it yet.
And then you still have to do this.
Yes. Yes. Now add a nasal rasp to that, and I'm
You
like,
have to do this because if you don't, you're just doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, I used to be 2 octaves higher when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that whole voice that you see the guy kid that gets put in the soprano section.
Mm-hmm.
I was that kid.
Ah.
And then I got rotated between that, alto, and tenor.
yup.
I can do all of those. I could do all of those.
I could not.
Including the guys. I don't know
I'm
why.
tenor, alto, and soprano now, so I'm with you on that one.
Now I'm baritone. I don't mind it at all.
That is perfectly fine.
But
I had a crush on a baritone.
because we talked a little bit about that. I have a question for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, was that movie creepy as a kid?
Which one?
No.
Hocus Pocus.
To me, it was comedy.
I really was in love with it and watched it a lot. And when people think things are scary, I used to watch Dark Shadows as a 2-year-old. So.
So I'm asking the wrong people.
Oh, yeah, you already know my history. There is just nothing that scares me anymore.
There is nothing that really scares me, but I refuse to watch Leprechaun movies.
Really?
I don't like them.
I'm the leprechaun.
I just I like the actor who plays the leprechaun. He's cool, but I don't like the whole ripping gold out of the stomach thing. It's just not.
Oh yeah.
I just couldn't. I just couldn't. It's not that I'm scared that is gonna happen to me, but I had nightmares.
I will say this much: I've gotten scared at movies.
I like when I was younger, I watched that movie as a little kid, and every time it's dark out, all I saw was a leprechaun in the closet. So
turn around, it's a leprechaun.
I was like, and what's weird is I really like shows about leprechauns, so it was like, this is the only one I can't watch. I love the Darby O'Gill and the Little People, and I like the other Disney one that they have, like the evil Venvara is the bad guy, but for some reason you get the midget to pull the drawer for whatever they call him now to pull out of the gold out of the stomach, and I'm like, no, run away.
Yeah. Or even.
But what's weird is I really love Wishmaster.
Oh,
I love Wishmaster. So why can I watch Wishmaster but I can't watch Leprechaun? I don't know.
I love Phantasm. I love Puppet Master. I love Wishmaster. I love the whole series of House. Oh, jeez. That was phenomenal.
He played that role so well.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
I can't picture anyone else playing that role.
No.
I just really can't.
No. Jeez. What's some other good horror ones that I absolutely love?
Evil Dead?
Oh, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, I love that one.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4. The first one's absolutely, I've seen it way too many times. But 3 and 4 are my favorites. Especially Dream Warriors. That was just, oh man, so cool.
I saw all 4 Wishmasters and I like them all.
But I will say this much.
Although I think their budget got really cheap at the end.
Yeah, you can tell. Puppet Masters too. That one
just kind of started going.
Yeah.
And then,
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh yeah, that was good. And I really enjoyed.
That thing was just wrong.
And I really enjoy Bruce Campbell movies.
Oh yeah.
Evil Dead, the Army of Darkness, the TV show he now has, Army of Darkness, or whatever, Evil Dead. I don't know, remember what it's called now. I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I think it was on Stars or something before that, though.
Yep. And I will say this much. I mean, you got somebody like me who everybody's like scared of things in the dark, and I'm sitting there going, you don't know what's in the dark. Trust me. They look at me funny.
My favorite show was Are You Afraid of the Dark?
What happened to you as a kid? And I was like, you ever had
Let me tell you.
something over your bed looking at you in the middle of the night and it wasn't human?
Only when I watch Supernatural?
Yeah. And the thing about it is I was a kid back then. I sort of like got away from like anything horror right after that, because I was like sitting here the whole time going, yeah, nothing else is that scary. Jeez. I mean, seriously. You wake up in the middle of the night and you see something and you're like, oh, it's just a shadow, and then all of a sudden it comes back to your room and is standing over you. It's like, that's not
that
funny,
is
dude.
Not a shadow. I don't know what to do.
Funny,
I'm going to sleep now.
I will say this much. I did some research and come to find out there was an Indian burial ground right around our house. And I was like, I do not even want to know.
I'm going to pretend like this didn't happen, you know, because this shit is freaky.
Yeah. And it got me very wary about a lot of different things that people say are just figments of the imagination. But I was like, no, because what I did in research was found out that certain people have certain gifts,
heightened senses,
when it comes to seeing the paranormal.
Yeah, heightened senses.
A lot of them don't. I would say 90+ percentage do not have the ability to even comprehend the supernatural, much less see anything having to do with the supernatural. But the problem that I see constantly is they're wanting proof, but the minute that they get it, they deny it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Denial.
And then it's one of those things of, you just don't do that. You're trying to open a door that you just don't want to have open.
You asked for this, right? You wanted to.
It's like going to.
Here's the proof. Why are you not accepting this?
It's like going to the Great Library, opening the Book of Life, reading it, and then slamming it shut, and like, no, that's not going to happen, and then it does.
And my friend Darlene, she lived in a haunted house.
Ooh.
Constantly.
Ooh.
Like on a first name basis with the ghost.
Like mean haunted house or peaceful?
Annoying.
Annoying.
Doing everything to annoy you. Not really hurting you. Not really doing anything. We're talking about everything from disconnecting the phone at the worst time to literally middle of the night slamming the freaking cabinets.
Oh my God.
Just to wake you up. And you
they
can
would
hear
not wake me up if I was sleeping.
And such.
Stupid. Go back to sleep.
Stop walking. Just stop. You're a
stop
ghost.
it.
You shouldn't be walking.
You shouldn't be walking.
What do you want?
You should be flying, gliding.
and
You don't have to use your weight on there. You don't even have any weight.
I know, right?
What is going on?
Eyes open.
Yeah.
Do you even have a body? How are you making that noise?
Exactly.
But it's one of those things where she would put on a whole ruse and this, that, and the other, and then her kids would sit there and instead they weren't allowed to talk to the ghost.
Okay.
They were only allowed to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
So under those circumstances, you had to relay a message of tell him to stop.
Tell him to stop now.
And I'm looking at all this going, that had to be a fun household.
Please, dear spirit who lived here before.
He's
my
messing up the
children
TV
are
again.
driving me insane. Stop, please.
No, it's also one of those things he would mess with the television.
Oh my God. What a jerk.
Yeah. Like, at certain times, depending on what was on, he would mess with the daggum television, just making it fizzle out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The white.
It was funny to watch.
Well, thank you. I
white.
wanted to watch the static channel.
No, it wouldn't even go fully static. It would just break in and out.
Oh.
How annoying that is.
They'd have issues trying to do that to television nowadays.
Oh yes. Oh no. I've actually thought about doing this, but I can't say this is a good idea because it's probably going to get somebody very wounded or very killed.
We don't want to do
about getting
that.
one of those phone jammers
Mm-hmm.
and walking around with one of those in the middle of the town.
No.
Having Pokemon Go and act like it's Pokemon Go and daggum just.
Can you imagine being in a raid and you've almost got it? Oh. I would be so freaking.
I only need one more of these. What happened?
Why is my internet not connected anymore?
Look around. Where is
What is going on? I can't find a signal. Well, when I was in Wisconsin, I couldn't find a signal, so I couldn't play. I didn't play Pokemon Go. I played the other game, the one with Wizards Unite. Yeah, Wizards Unite. Harry Potter Wizards Unite. So I couldn't find a signal at all in Wisconsin, and I was like, "What? I'm walking all these places and I can't get nothing. I'm at the Irish Fest and I can't get nothing. This sucks."
Wow.
I was in Milwaukee and there was no signal. I was like, "What? There's no Sprint towers here?"
Excuse me, sir. Can I climb up on your shoulders?
Exactly.
Still for just a minute. Almost cast the spell. There. Wingardium Leviosa.
Oh, Wingardium Leviosa.
Leviosa.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. Oh. I love Harry Potter, especially Grindelwald, which, you know, is the newer movies. I was like, bring out a book. Bring out a book. I want a book. Give me a book.
You know, the closest thing we have to a book for those movies is the script.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I've got both of those.
Now, I will say this much. Rowling is considering opening up a new series. And it's literally going to be a continuation of Harry Potter. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, because it's been rumored. There's been interviews. There's been all of those sort of stuff. She swore up and down she wouldn't, but then all of a sudden the two movies come out. With the two movies come out, she's seeing...
Cursed Child hasn't done so well, though.
There's the problem. And unfortunately, it was done like the last book in the Harry Potter series, and she rushed it. Yeah. And when she's left alone to write, it comes out good. When she's not, and she's half doing it based off of the money and the other aspects of contractual obligations, that's never good.
I didn't like her book that was non-Harry Potter. I don't know if you read it, but I was like, I can't read this.
Yeah, I will say this much.
I can say I said that when I read Harry Potter the first time. I read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in middle school, and I was like, I can't read this. And then I saw the movie, and I was like, oh, that's Quidditch. And then I picked up the next book.
Got it.
I was like...
See, I'm a big fan of anything sci-fi. When it comes to that, I've read C.S. Lewis, I've read Agatha Christie in a lot of cases, because it's one of those things where you're talking about and then there were none, where it really gets into that whole, and then the supernatural, this, that, and the other, everything having to do with that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, I love Tolkien, but heaven forbid somebody try and relate it to today's terms. It can't be done.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh, jeez.
I never liked his books. I read The Hobbit, and I was like,
I love The Hobbit. The Hobbit, to me, is probably the best out of the entire series.
I think it's the easiest to understand.
It is the easiest to understand. It's when he didn't get all high and mighty in his language. This and the other. Now, C.S. Lewis always layman turned a lot of it, but nowadays the education level is not at the standard it was, so people can't understand it.
So, like, when I was in middle school, they're like, oh, read this, read this, read this. So I read it, and I was like, I don't like it. That's how I was when it came to The Hobbit. I don't understand how people liked it. I just couldn't get into it.
Because they didn't. You got to think, only those who at the higher reading level are going to be able to follow it, because it goes very.
I had a higher reading
slower.
level. I was reading college level material when I was in kindergarten. So when I was reading, when it came to pleasure reading, I didn't really like that book. I think it was mostly because it was like reading history, and I just was not interested in history.
Very world building.
Yes, I was like, I don't care about that. I just want to. I just want to. The Hobbit built the entire world. Yes, yes.
For the next series of books. Now, I will say this much: C.S. Lewis fine-tuned that to an art form, because he was like, I don't need to build the world for people to understand it. I just drop them into it with some relatable aspects of this world.
That's how I write.
And so that's why C.S. Lewis is a little bit easier, but a lot of people don't realize this. C.S. Lewis was taught by Tolkien, and they were best friends.
That's cool. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. Now,
I just picture them hanging
I like
out.
Wizard of Oz.
Cool.
And here's the other thing about it. When you look at that aspect and you see where the stories of magic and all this sort of stuff come from and how it was actually done, It was never started there. And a lot of people say that that's where it was started. And I was like, then you never read anything in the line of Socrates, Plato, and all the other Homer, any of those guys. And I was like, and they're looking at me like, wait, what? I was like, okay, do you even
don't remember the Odyssey?
And they were like, what do you mean? And I was
like, triggered again. No joke. But in my senior year, our graduating class, right? We had to do a book report, and I will never forget this. The book had to be at least 300 pages long, and you would not believe how many of the seniors, our graduating class, complained about the pages.
What? Do you know what
pages, Miss? I can't read that much. Maybe if I get pictures, or if I get a book with the text being bigger, and I'm just like, this is our future.
Yes.
It is. They want shortcuts.
So I got like ink spell, and it was like 500
You know what?
pages.
I read Les Miserables, the unabridged version, so yeah.
Ooh. Now
I was upset though because Javert is my favorite character. He had 3 pages.
Yeah.
I was like, what did you do?
I have it. Admittedly, I haven't made it through the whole entire thing because time is of the essence.
It's a really long book. Yeah.
Now, I will say this much. My first book I ever wrote was close to 400 pages.
Nice.
And I was in high school.
Ambitious.
No, I wanted to finish the freaking book. And for some odd reason, it would go up on rabbit trails.
Jeez, I wonder why.
What happened? What did I miss?
Actually, my teacher got a hold of it while I was in the middle of typing it and started handing it out to the class.
Why would your teacher do that?
I don't know how many chapters I had to run people down to get. And the thing about it is I had people coming up to me with the chapters in their hand saying, where's the next one?
I get that all the time.
And I was the guy getting bullied.
Picture you in a shady hallway. You got the pages.
You got the pages.
I'll trade you this chapter for that one.
That back, I know you really want this.
Yeah, I got something you want. Oh yeah. The story is
walking opposite directions.
And the thing about it is, it got over everywhere. Like even the teachers were reading it. And I'm like looking at them, going, "What the crap?"
See, that's what happened to me in middle school.
Yeah.
And that's why I was called the next George Lucas. That's why I got that title from my history teacher.
And the thing about it is that unfortunately, I had 2 teachers begging me to get it published.
I still have my whole teachers that I've went through that have seen my work wondering why I'm not published.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because it's not done. They're like, how can it be not done? You've been working on it since you were 14. And I'm like, because it's a Chronicles.
Gotta let it go sometimes.
No, I can't. I can't because it's a Chronicles and they all interlace and all the details have to be perfect or I won't publish.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to have furious fans. You're going to be like, where is the next set?
Exactly. So it's like so when it comes to the point when I'm publishing all of them, they're all going to be interlaced. They're not exactly.
You do know they got to be edited too.
Oh, they've been edited. Well, the ones that I've been, yes, I've rewritten and wrote them a million times. And
did you get somebody else's eyes on them?
Me and another author who edit his work.
There you go.
Have traded pages.
Other than yours.
Yes, other eyes other than mine.
You have to get a second pair of eyes on it, or else.
More like I had my best friend look at it, and then I had a real author look at it, and then yeah, pretty much. But it's been
my first book. I didn't edit.
What?
That makes me hurt.
it made me hurt too, because I'm sitting here the whole time going, I just did it for fun. I was not expecting it to go as big as it did. Next thing I know, I'm getting 2 freaking nominations for awards, and I'm like, did y'all even read the book?
Publish the unedited version now with the reading level of people nowadays. It'll just look like texting.
We have a blogger that ended up being published.
Oh, you're kidding.
50 Shades of Grey.
Wait, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Why?
And the idea, I know some people that love the book, and I'm like, Twitch.
I'm okay.
What's your reading level again?
I'm okay with the book.
I didn't read the
hate it,
books.
but I love it either.
I
will
couldn't
say
do
this much,
it.
the way they edited it, it did come out better than the blog. The blog, I read the blog. It made me want to scream. No.
So, I tend to write a lot of fan fiction. And Harry Potter fan fiction.
See, I'm a big fan of almost anything. We're talking Terry Pratchett, Jim Butcher.
Oh, I like Terry
Jennifer
Pratchett.
Estep.
I love Jim Butcher. I love Ray Bradbury. I love Neil Gaiman.
Yes.
I can't.
What?
All because of American Gods that killed me.
What? That's my favorite book.
Because of the fact being that when you look at, I will say this much, he did his research at least.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I'll give him credit for.
Is it the way he writes it?
No, it's the way he changed the characters mid-book without any warning or something happening that would explain why they changed. Does that make sense?
I just wrote that off as character development. Though.
No, you can't do that
I mean,
because...
I don't know. I read the book when I was in high school and I enjoyed it immensely.
So,
well, Odin is my biggest problem because when you look at Odin and you look at the mythology, he was not a nice character.
Well, he's technically not nice in American Gods either.
He was all-knowing father for a reason, but yet in the same instance, he was all-knowing. He was not nice.
He's not nice in American Gods either. It
No.
just seems like he's nice.
But here's the thing: he brought justice, and he literally. I mean, it was a firm justice. But he was all about justice.
yeah.
One of the reasons why he did what he did to Thor.
Okay.
And above and beyond that, what he did to Loki. Now, that made sense, especially when you consider that I did the research on the old, myths.
Oh, yeah, you did your research, all right.
He wrote a book, Norse mythology. Neil Gaiman.
See, I had to research all of that for And We Were Gods because I put every single god in the same place at the same time. And here's the thing. There is no main character. And people told me over and over and over it was impossible. There's no way to do it. I was like, Homer did it. Plato did it.
Yep.
Socrates did it. And I can name so many others that did it.
It's not possible.
They're looking at me going, wait a minute, what? And I was like, yes. Because if you look at C.S. Lewis and the Tales of Narnia, he had multiple main characters, not one.
You're right. You're right. It was the band of kids, but not one of them.
Stephen King did the exact same thing with It. There was not one main character.
I'm not actually a fan of Stephen King. The only book I liked of his was the one about Dragon
who was
Eyes.
The main character, if you want to really delve into Stephen King, who was the main character in Pet Sematary then?
I have no idea. I didn't read the book.
You're going to find out very quickly that there
I didn't like the movie
was
either, Pet
a main
Sematary.
character, and it happened to be
my favorite Stephen King movie would be The Langoliers.
Yes. Langoliers, another one. Hard to pinpoint a main character.
But yeah, that's my favorite movie because the guy who was in The Neighbors was in that movie.
And then If you want to go even further
Bulky.
into writing, who's the main character in Avengers?
Iron Man.
No. There's going to be a lot that will argue that point.
I don't think so.
See, and even worse is the fact being, okay, who's the main character in Justice Leagues?
There shouldn't be one.
No, there really isn't one.
What's the main character?
Who's the leader of Justice League, you know?
In Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys. I don't even...
Who's the main character?
There isn't one.
There isn't one. There really isn't.
You see what I mean?
I do.
There are a lot of books that do not have a main character.
They have main characters.
And I just happen to put everybody in the mix.
I know how that is.
that I see
But I think I
yours
do have a
going
main
on
character in
Monday,
mind, though. But
Game
since it's a
show.
Chronicles,
All the gods live
there
together.
is... One book has this as a main character. Another book has this as a main character. Another book has this as a main character. And when you puzzle them together, you're like, oh, that's how it works.
Pretty much.
And now coming to you live, it's Godmates. All gods are roommates.
No, it's worse. Everybody loves Thor.
Everybody lives Thor.
And then you have little Loki come up, I do not.
I definitely do not like Thor.
And then all of a sudden Odin and the hair coming out the back.
I picture it being one of those shows where, like that crappy one with Snooki.
Oh,
Like when they all
yes.
live in the same space and it's just
Yes.
nothing but drama between
Yes. I can see that, and then they use the Earth as a daggone toy. Yeah, I can see that. I can so
Use
see
Earth
that.
as a marble.
Don't destroy it. We created it.
We
You can
created.
mess with little things here and there, but you can't destroy it.
Why
a
not?
continent. Oh, no, Pangea. Well, I kind of
We can
separated.
sort of. Well, wait a minute. I don't like.
Hold on. Can I
Troy.
back together? Nope. Okay, you know what? Forget it. Scatter. The puzzle pieces are everywhere now.
They are in one place. I don't like that.
Yeah,
Snap in the
my
world, and the
favorite
world
highlight.
splits, and the languages change.
Look,
Right?
We are gods. We are not supposed to act this
You
way.
just hit Atlantis.
I hit Atlantis, and it sunk. Yes! Atlantis is gone. The land split apart, and everyone speaks a different language now.
Clean up the area. Nothing to see here. There. See, there was never any Atlantis.
She's like, I'm erasing it. It never happened.
And they're like, the books in Alexandria. I guess we'll just destroy Alexandria.
Boom, it's gone. Oh, what happened to Rome?
These people are worshiping.
Where did California go? It's gone. California has been sunken into the abyss that is called the ocean.
Oh man, I can so see that. That would be a great
We
soap
need to test
opera.
the humans' dedication. Let's do a little tsunami here, a little hurricane
yes.
tornado there.
No. You know what that is, right?
Here's the giant lightning bolts.
Uh-oh. Thor's got daggone freaking allergies again.
Achoo!
Stop creating hurricanes.
Thunder.
Tsunami, you're going the wrong way. Stop that. Not over here. Turn your head.
But no! It can't happen. I didn't do that. I swear. Shit.
You're going to drop it. You're going to drop it.
I just spilled
You
a bunch of
just created
assholes
the-
onto the world.
There's a
You just created the
non-believer.
Grand Canyon. Thanks a lot. You just shattered it.
I fell on it. I
It
did.
looks better that way.
I put a big giant foothold right there, you know? It just looks pretty, right? With my giant boot prints.
I picture it like one of those
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, let's scare the humans and make some crop circles.
So-and-so slept with so-and-so? What?
What? Who
That's
slept
not
with
a
who?
toilet. You just created the Mississippi River. Thanks.
They're in denial. Let's
But
go.
yeah, in my book, I will say this much. I let my wife's, well, I'll put it to you this way. I let my mother-in-law read one chapter. Mm-hmm. Now she wants me to write erotica.
I didn't want to think.
Please tell me there's no erotica in that book you made her read.
I didn't want there to be, but you had to get
There are some very passionate romance scenes. It doesn't go into like erotica, but it is very detailed. So I can see, because you want
Aphrodite
people,
and Ares. You
Yeah.
had to.
and you want people who write erotica to have that ability to give that detailed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want it to just be like, boy kisses girl. There's so much
There's a
emotion.
closet.
It just doesn't work.
I love fan fiction, but God help them. Some of the fan fictions out there are just like that. It's
No.
like they kiss, things happen.
Yeah. Or,
There's some babies.
or
What?
yeah.
They're popping out
Go to the
babies.
closet. 2 walk in, 3 walk out.
Their lips pressed together.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean? There's a few different ways that could go. That just sounds kind of boring to me.
And then I could get very descriptive, but we won't do that here.
I can see how she would be like, oh, he's got the ability, he's got that detail, orientation. I can see that, but still, no.
See, she's read one of my first books, and this and the other on a few of the chapters, and she was like, it was hard to put it down. I was like, well, you do know you read at night, and then all of a sudden you never get any sleep.
Yes, I have that issue.
Yeah.
I used to have that
that's
issue
just-
when I'm writing at night,
Oh, jeez.
and
But
then
yeah,
there's no
what ended up
sleep that
happening,
happens.
With my first book is I knew about Harry Potter. I've been reading Jim Butcher. I read Jennifer Estep.
Have you read
Already-
G.P. Taylor?
No, but I do know of him.
I really like his writing style. Shadowmancer.
It's a little descriptive. I'll put it that way.
I like G.P. Taylor. I forgot which one I liked, but Shadowmancer was the first book I read of his. There was one about, I think it was Monkswood or something. I can't remember, but it's about angels. I really like that one. And then there comes the Shadowmancer 2, and you're like, what? He made another Shadowmancer? What? Because
right now I'm reading The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
oh, the one
That
that's
is
That is
not.
a good book.
It is not a bad book at
No,
all.
it's not.
Very different.
You're talking about the
writing
one
style.
that the movie is based on.
No, this is a whole different one. That one that was the movie was created off of a short story, not a real story.
Okay, yeah, I read the
This
short
one-
story. The short story is
yeah.
good.
This one is a real story.
Wormwood is the name of it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
It's a very thick book. And the thing about it is it is along the same lines as the way Jim Butcher doesn't really describe scenes very well,
Okay.
but he lets the plot follow.
It kind of explains itself.
Yes.
Got it.
Versus, say, Jennifer Estep, who puts you in the middle of everything, and from there you get to fill in the blanks of what's missing, but you're right there. And I was like, okay, I like that, but I like Agatha Christie's writing better, but she's very, very, very detailed. It's one of the reasons why I love her so much is because she can take a long, detailed explanation and shorten it to where you know what's around you without being overly descriptive.
Yes.
And she starts reading my book, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, going, I don't know if I was overly descriptive or not enough descriptive. And I was stuck in the middle of all of that because I wanted the story to flow with one main character in a time that's very, very hard to relate to. Could you imagine that the world knew magic existed or believed it existed at one time, and all of a sudden the scientists make a mistake and magic enters into the world again. And here's the problem. Magic has rules.
Ah.
And not only are these rules one of those things that are carnal, mistakes, but they get people killed. And so if you have the magic essence and you touch a raw gemstone, then that raw gemstone and whatever it imbues into, you are now actually holding. Meaning that if it's ice, you just froze your arm.
Ooh.
If it's fire, you just got severely burned. If it's, shadow magic, you disappear. And that's one of the safety features that the government puts, because apparently magic users are seen as a terrorist threat. And so all borders, all discussions, and all arguments are ceased because of the fact being that now it's just magic user versus non-magic user.
The no-mage. What?
And there's where the problem comes in, because when it was first discovered, then a lot of people were just terrified. But it went from that to magic users knowing how they wield it. Then they're committing crimes. They're doing a lot of stuff that are like world domination junk, and the government has to respond. And you have people that are using magic that are trying to rescue all these people at the same time, but they're being blamed just because. And so
it's kind of like Uther Pendragon.
Very close. Very close. And here's the problem. You see religion starting to play a part in it. You start seeing government playing a part in it. You start seeing the government and corporations being at odds, because the corporations want to use magic users for their own purposes. And I went that route with it, and it was funny to watch. And it was you've got this kid who is actually one of the main characters of the Sons of Solastar, which that's the main ones they're after, because they're from the inherent bloodline. Well, to open the portal, they've either got to kill them or they have to push them through the portal. That's the only way that works.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is he runs a lot of magic users that are trying to stay neutral, try and save him. Above and beyond that, they're trying to stay outside of the whole controversy and the war and all this other stuff. And you have magic users and non-magic users who are now threatened, because the government starts making a rule: if one person in your family is able to use magic, then the whole family is quarantined.
Makes sense.
Because they know the bloodline starts somewhere and they're not able to find out where. And then they start experimenting on people that have magic capabilities to find out if there's a way to stop it from happening, stopping it from regenerating, or whatever. And as we know, that doesn't do very well. So now you have all of this controversy, all of these daggum officials and everything else going nuts, until you find out at the very last book who the main bad guy is and how bad it can get. And he is off the chart.
Off the chain.
Oh,
it's a little on the crazy side, but just a little bit.
A little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
To say he's a little overpowered is an understatement.
An understatement. Sounds intriguing.
Nobody can touch him.
Oh, look, it's Uniquely Evil. Hello. Hello, Uniquely Evil. Welcome to the chat room. We're doing Aimless Banter. Say hello to David.
I know, right? But yeah, that's what I first got nominated for 2 awards for, was just that storyline. And then the next thing you know, got started, I was already going to conventions, but then they started having me as an author guest, from the author guest doing all my other panels and such of all the entertainment that I do. And then from there, they wanted me to do horror because they found out what I wrote in the second book. And they were like, yeah, my second book. I gave magical abilities to cockroaches.
Cockroaches?
Why?
Why?
They already lived through everything, David.
They already can live through the apocalypse.
Could you think of it this way? You have hornets with magical abilities. I think the worst one was the spider, though.
Yuck.
Spider.
No, I take that back.
Spider.
It was the what?
Botfly.
The
It started inhabiting humans and then taking them over and breeding that way.
Like a parasite?
Yeah, remember a botfly infests its young into human flesh. Yeah. So, yeah, you have.
Okay.
Yeah. So, needless to say, after they saw the centipede versus the botfly versus the rest of the town, they were like, you need to write horror.
Mental institute, young child. What is wrong with you?
And then that's when I came out with Hotel Nowhere, which, jeez.
Hotel Nowhere.
I had a editor tell me straight out it needs a warning label.
A warning label? What should the warning label say?
Well, 4 of my...
Not for the weak of heart.
Yeah. 4 editors that they had to try and edit the book couldn't get past chapter 4. I mean, I'm the author of the freaking thing, and it scared me halfway through the daggone freaking book because I'm here writing it in the middle of the night and something falls off the wall.
Oh, God.
I just jumped and I was like insulted that I got scared at my own book. And I was like, that's not right. That is so not right.
That is so right.
I was more determined than ever to make it scarier.
Yes, of course. You're going to make it scarier.
And then all of a sudden, one of the people that were looking at publishing it come to me and says, what were you trying to do with this book? I said, write the scariest book ever written. And she was like, this ain't it? And I was like, no, not yet. And yeah, it was one of those reactions.
She's like, this is not it? What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
On Facebook, there was a girl that was literally sending out messages how she wanted a real terrifying story. And Stephen King was one of the only stories that she found was The Shining and Pet Sematary. And I was like, then you need to read mine.
Oh, yeah.
And from there, she was like, are you sure this is going to scare me? I was like, 95% sure. And she was like, okay, fine, I'll read it and then I'll give you a review on it. No lie, I think it was 2 days later, I got a message from her saying this hit the spot. Holy hell. I was like, wow. I was like, dang, okay.
Yeah. When I was a child, I watched horror movies to the point where you can't watch a horror movie and think it's a horror movie anymore because you're desensitized to it. So it's like I watch thrillers now because at least, there's a little bit of, psychological warfare in there.
I love the psychological more than I do the, boo scares.
One of my favorites of those types of movies would be Red Eye, which is a Wes Craven movie.
They're called jump scares.
They're also called those, but
okay.
I'm more call them boo scares. Why? Because boo.
Boo.
Pretty
I'm
much.
so scared.
I can predict every single one of them. There's only been one movie I wasn't able to predict, just one of them, and that was it.
Well, I can predict every single movie I ever watched.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I can predict
a movie is very predictable.
Because I'm a that kind of thing. I did not grow up watching horror movies. So,
she is so innocent.
Oh,
She's so innocent.
I'll
still punch you.
You'll still punch me.
But like literally, I can call a movie. I can predict what's gonna happen, but I'm still just like freaking out. It's because my imagination is so overactive that I get sucked right into the tale, and then I know it's ketchup. But my brain is going, it's not ketchup.
I wish I had that problem.
Like,
I want that problem. I watched horror movies to get that, adrenaline rush. I lost that factor. I don't get that anymore. So
girl, take it from me. I don't want it. You can have it.
Mine's even worse because of the fact being working in movies, working on all the acting behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. It's like I know every single trick in the book.
But I've tried that. It doesn't work. Like I'm sitting here going, okay.
I know how they did that.
Like, okay.
Oh, that was cool.
Even take stage productions where they have some kind of a gory scene. I can make it through those. But there's still a part of me that is cringing the whole time. Like, there's a part of me that just does not like it. My factual side is like, ooh, I wonder how they did that. And my emotional side is going, I don't want to know.
Kind of like I can't for the life of me watch Leprechaun, even though I know.
Yeah.
It's just that one movie I can't watch. That whole series of Leprechaun movies, I won't watch it.
Why? I wonder what about Leprechaun triggers something in you.
I don't know. I'm thinking it's the gold out of the stomach thing.
Yeah.
It just didn't fly with me.
The first Aliens, when the alien pops out of the stomach.
I'm fine with that movie. I'm fine with that. That's fine. But you pop gold out of the stomach, and I'm like, ew.
Oh, I loved when I saw Jurassic Park the first time.
Jurassic Park. Oh yeah, I saw that in the movie theater, and I love that whole scene with the whole with the Jeep and the kids and.
There was a black woman that was right on the front row, and it was so funny because here everybody was. I mean, the theater was packed. And because this thing had been foretold and marketed out the yin yang.
Oh, yeah.
So here we are. We already know there's raptors. We already know the scenes that are coming up because it's already been, seen. So here we are looking at the scene that we know is coming where the girl is like sitting there shaking the ice cream and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, oh, this is it. And so we're all watching this thing, and then when that one raptor, when they're looking for that one electrical recircuiting, and bust through the wires, and it was not expected by anybody. Yeah. That woman jumps up. Whoa! Everybody lost it. I had to go and watch the movie all over again because of that.
Too busy staring at her reaction.
She was, between the laughter and her doing that, there was no recovery. That was, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to watch the rest of this movie. I'm just going to be waiting for her to jump up again.
Me, my grandma, and I forgot who else went to see Jurassic Park for the first time. We all saw it together, and me and grandma predicted everything that happened in the movie.
Yeah. I already knew T-Rex was going to be supposedly the hero in the whole freaking thing. Or anti-hero, however you want to put it.
Yeah, because he still eats people.
Yeah. And then
or she
no, that was a he. That T-Rex was a he. What ended up happening afterwards, because remember, that's a whole different series. Because they tried to relate that T-Rex in the second movie was not the T-Rex from the first movie.
You're right, yeah.
And I was like looking at it going, and it was supposedly not long after, but you have to really look at the movie, and they tell you off the get-go, this was an abandoned site, not the original site.
Got it.
And they were still investigating the original site, which ends up happening in the third movie.
So now I'm curious, because from Jurassic World, is that the original T-Rex from the first movie, or is that the
I'm believing it is the original.
And third.
In Jurassic World, I believe that was the original.
Yeah.
Okay. So Why does everyone call her a she?
Because they went back to the island, didn't they?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you that one. But from what I can gather, it was a he, not a she.
Okay.
I read the
Yeah.
I read the books that the movie was based on when I was 6.
Nice.
So actually getting to see it as a movie, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, you kidding? I literally watched, as a kid, the original cartoon when it was first released of Watership Down.
Watership Down.
Wow.
Oh, I remember that. Well,
And
I remember that from history class.
Kid. I was a kid. That whole farm vision thing that they did.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about something that will scar a kid for life?
Yep.
For me, I was looking at that going, that was cool.
What about the whole radio show where they had War of the Worlds and people thought it was real?
And I will say this much: right after that cartoon, and all sorts of, I mean, that stuck with me up until high school. And then high school, they come to me about needing to read the next book report, and they didn't have a limit or a restriction on the amount of pages at all.
Okay.
You had people reading Hardy Boys in high school.
Wow. Ow.
Yes. When I say there was none. Now, I will say this much. It
I was
funny
reading
to see the
Dracula
girls
in high
reading
school.
Harlequin.
And Les Miserables.
Yeah, they were reading the Harlequin novels.
Oh, girl, if you were reading Les Mis,
Yeah.
everyone would be there for a long time. Gosh, it wasn't read out loud, was it?
No.
I hope not.
No,
Can you imagine trying to read that book out loud to a class?
we picked our books that we wanted to read for literature class ourselves. She gave us a book list. She's like, here, read all these. And I chose Dracula, Les Mis, and I forgot what the other book was, but I think it was by Ray Bradbury, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure.
Yes, I actually got to meet him. He was so cool.
I love Ray Bradbury's
It's for
Something
chocolate.
Wicked This Way Comes. It's my favorite book by him, other than Fahrenheit 451.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that book. That's a powerful book.
And the bad thing about it is, in high school, you had people that were reading Harlequin novels for a book report.
I never had
Hardy
that.
Boys
Yep.
for a book report. And I come in and I'm holding up a dictionary type book. And they're like, what the crap is that? And I was like, Watership Down. Like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to read this. And my teacher looked right dead at me and says, if you can read it by the deadline and do a good book report on it, I'll give you extra credit.
Heck
Nice.
yes, challenge accepted.
Nice. Challenge
I read it in a
accepted.
week.
Ha.
Nice.
Not only did I read it in a week, I did the book report and did such a good job on it. He gave me 2 A+.
Nice.
Ooh.
Whoa.
I would have been like, just graduated
You know
now.
what? I took a creative writing class in high school,
Ooh.
and my teacher failed me because I do not know how to write short stories. So
How in the world? Oh, yeah.
Did
I
they
can
say
see
how
that.
many words defined a short story?
she just
Usually
said
it's
write
like
5
50,000.
pages. I wrote 10. So I tried to make it 5 pages, but it just didn't turn out that way.
Yeah. You can't fail somebody that cannot. That's just weird.
Well, I mean, if that's one of the
I got a C. That's what I
Yeah,
call
pretty much.
failure.
that's one of the
So-
guidelines. If that's one of the rules, basically, of the project, I can see that. But that sucks because that means that
I felt like how is this creative writing if you're stunting my creativity?
No, it's not stunting. It's trying to make you think of other ways to reword it. That's where short stories come in.
Yeah, I'm not very
And
good at short.
I learned that because of being in newspaper for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
You had to take an entire story and put it into 4 paragraphs.
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, that
not
was
very
me.
good at
girl.
No,
I was like, do you want to see my books? Because they're like 1,000 pages a piece.
Wow.
See, that's what I'm saying when it comes to like newspapers.
It's
magazines,
probably gonna be, if
gotta-
I ever get them published, they'll probably be broken up more than what they are right now.
Girl, if they make them into movies, guess what? Ching, 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 ching.
Cha-cha-ching!
We're gonna make each book 4 or 5 movies, each book 4 or 5 movies.
Well, you gotta
Bring
think.
that money on over here.
When I first published And with Gods, I got notified by 2 different movie studios. One from England, one from Australia. Both of them wanted to buy it.
And why didn't you?
Because they didn't have the budget.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want it done a certain way, and you're not going to take any less.
No.
Got you.
I knew better. I don't care if it is New Zealand. Yes, you're going to get kickbacks because of it being New Zealand. Yes, it's going to be more financially sound, and the sets are easily built. That's not my issue. My issue is, what are you going to spend for the actors? What are you spending for the editing? What are you doing in the line of the sci-fi effects that are called for in this book?
Don't turn my title into a farce, basically.
Eric.
Oh, I actually didn't think it was that bad, but compared to the book, I was like,
Erica?
okay, there's...
It was...
The Dragon book?
Yeah. Have you seen the movie?
Does it have, like, a evil bad dude? With a M name?
There's a farm boy. There's a previous older guy who used to have a dragon of his own.
An egg.
There's an egg.
I don't remember if I saw the movie. I do remember reading it, I think.
Yeah, let's put it this way. Everybody asked me, why didn't you daggum get them to do it anyway? I mean, it was money. I was like, Aragon. That's all I got to say. And then as soon as I say that word, they're like, oh.
They rushed Aragon. If you read the book, there's so much detail, and then you get to the movie, and it's
the book should have been at least 2.
It's somewhat likable if you haven't read the book, but if you've read the book, you're going, no.
Yeah, they rewrote the entire book. They rewrote
He is much more of a hero in
the book. He
and
was
in the movie,
not a coward. He was not a daggum freaking, I'm going to hide behind my dragon.
Yeah, they did that
crap.
Zero to hero kind of deal, which Hollywood does that a lot.
Yeah, that's because it's staple. And the thing about it is I don't like that. That's why I start my And We Were God's book with a fight between Hercules and Hercules. Right off the get-go, you see a fight on the TV between Aphrodite and Isis while Thor and Hercules are getting ready to go at it. It's absolutely beautiful.
And now I'm just thinking of Troll Hunters, because that's the way the first episode starts. Like, the first 5 minutes is this big fight between the bad troll and the good troll.
Yeah.
Of course, one of them gets killed, and then they open for the new troll hunter to be found and knighted. And
you
it's
find
good,
out you find out that this fight is scripted.
Well,
The fight entire. Now I will say
now I'm
this much.
seeing El Dorado in my head.
El
here's the
Dorado.
problem.
The cartoon?
It goes a little off script at one point.
Now I'm seeing El Dorado.
Because it was supposed to be scripted until Herc draws the first blow
Ooh, first blood.
against Thor.
Ooh, first blood.
And Thor returns the favor.
Oop.
Mm-mm.
And then, you sort of see that something's off.
Obviously.
And then from there, it's like military men start surrounding the area. And from there, you have Herc and Thor, like face to face, up close and personal, getting ready to just unleash everything they got. And Herc leans in and says, "Don't you think it's about time?" And all of a sudden Thor goes, "Yeah." And you see him you see Thor take his hammer, lift Herc up in the air, and throw him to the banister where the military guys are, while he daggum just lays in a hammer onto the daggum freaking other railing, and they just start going after the military guys.
Yep.
And the bad thing about it is they all get away in time, and Herc is there screaming at the top of his lungs.
Why is that a less intense version of El Dorado? Seriously. Oh my goodness. Like, down to the military men coming around. Scripted, the fight going off script, them getting away. Like, what the heck? Except, of course, less intense, because El Dorado was made as a more comedy-centered.
Yeah, this one was not
No.
comedy. No, the bar owner comes outside, starts threatening to sue.
Relatable.
And then, yeah, they destroy the trash compactor.
Oh, and that just makes me think of A New Hope.
Herc grabbed the trash compactor and started to hit Thor with it, and Thor looks up and says, "I'm going to tell your dad you did that."
Good, because you know what? That trash compactor scene in Star Wars, I don't know why, but it scared the crap out of me as a kid. So don't go on trash compactors. I really have no idea.
3, 4, 6, 8, 3, 8, 2, 7.
Living underneath.
Oh,
In the thing, I just know that when the walls started closing in, and when the thing pulled Luke down, like, as a kid, I was like, I'm out, bye. Just run out of the room, and you can imagine my mom and my dad just laughing their faces off, and I would
totally agree.
And I must have been like 5, and I peered like my head around the corner. Is it over yet?
I didn't watch Star Wars until middle school. I didn't know it existed until middle school, actually. My uncle was like, he had these VHS tapes, and I was like, what is that? And he's like, that's Star Wars. And I was like, what's Star Wars? He's like, you're gonna borrow these and watch them. And what did I do? I stole his VHS tapes for a whole year until Christmas time, when I got my own for Christmas.
I was so upset because I knew about Star Wars. I saw the lines to the theater, all of this other stuff. And the thing about it is I still couldn't go because of the fact being that Mom and Dad didn't like sci-fi.
Oh,
and they were not about to let me go by myself. The first movie I ever went to where I was not with them or anything. All right, are you ready for this?
I'm bracing myself.
Karate Kid.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
I like him.
I do like that.
And the bad thing about it is I still had to be chaperoned.
Pat's Moriarty. No, Moretti. Woo.
Because Mom didn't trust movies.
Oh no, they're gonna throw punches.
But
no, they're gonna kick ass.
But yeah, my dad had
Hey, it's not Rocky or anything.
Yeah, but my dad bought the whole satellite package for HBO and all that stuff at the house.
There's worse things on that.
Exactly.
There is.
Karate Kid.
Exactly.
That's weird.
And trust me, I was watching a lot of worse stuff.
You're like, yeah.
Oh, are you kidding?
What
Every
they
single
don't know
time
won't hurt them.
I would go to bed. at 9. They went to bed.
Was there
an hour
sex
later.
on TV
I
or
got
something?
back up at 12, and I turned on the late night stuff.
That explains so much.
Oh, that's why he's this way. What?
Now I know why he has those creepy moments. So give me a list so I know what to blacklist and never ever watch.
Oh, you don't want to know these titles.
Oh God, was it porn?
No, it was the B-rated stuff.
B-rated porn?
We're talking severe. Scott Baio's Zapped. And things of that nature.
B-rated. I've never even heard that.
Oh, Zapped was so B-rated.
B-rated is... I like B-rated horror.
I was thinking that,
Hold
you
on.
know...
What does B-rated even mean?
It was... Do you want to...
Do you remember the...
Normal A-listing actors and movie scripts, right?
Okay, yes.
B-rated movies is where you get some of those less known A actors to a really bad movie.
Oh no.
Well, a lot of those really bad movies in the B listings are what I like.
Yeah, totally.
And that's where the sci-fi theater
Because I
comes in.
really enjoy
Last
B-rated
Starfighter.
horror.
Last
B-rated horror.
Starfighter, so B-rated movie. And I was like, yeah, that was one of my top faves.
Which one?
The Last Starfighter.
Oh, that is one of mine too.
Yeah. Absolutely beautiful movie, but nobody knows who in the world the actors are.
But I love that movie. I watched that over and over and over and over and over.
But name one of the characters or the actors.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I was thinking that James Earl Jones voiced that one alien that was in there.
Wait,
The one with the one that was the partner to him. I don't remember, but that voice was very familiar. They had to have somebody that was famous back then, because I remember that voice. I just don't recognize
Featuring
it.
a ragtag group of actors and the one that you guys know.
Oh, even worse, it's a knockoff of Star Wars. Is it not?
No.
Yes, it is.
It's more like a knockoff of
Kill everything.
Galactica.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica, which I enjoy as well.
I love the original. I can't get over the...
I never watched the new one, but yeah.
Yeah, I only
Yeah, I
like
watched the old ones. I've never even.
I do not like the way they did the new one because it makes no sense.
They
does,
made
like,
Starbuck a girl, and I just couldn't watch it.
Yeah. Not only that, they tried to do the whole thing what V did way back in the 80s. And V worked in the 80s, but the V they did recently was crap.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, they did what they did with Galactica, which Battlestar Galactica should have been a survival story that turned into a drama. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, back in the day, it was a survival story. Mm-hmm. And for it to be turned into a drama, there's a reason why people liked it, but the ones who liked it are not going to be the guys that, want the survivor story of, Walking Dead and all this other stuff, even though Walking Dead turned into, unfortunately, a drama. By the 4th season, it was a drama.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about the 4th season. The first 2 seasons were absolutely epic. And then right after that, it turned into a drama. It wasn't even about survival at that point, because it was too easy to survive. It was more difficult to survive with who they were beside.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
So it turned into Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies. I like that book.
But you see what I'm saying? And it was just like that. They start eating themselves from the inside out.
Oh, I'd love to watch it, but no.
I would love if they did a TV series based off of the book, though.
The Lord of the Flies.
I heard they went way off rails from the book too. When did they did they make that switch?
The comic book series was absolutely epic, and it was more about survival and, yes, internal struggles. They focused on the internal struggles more than the outward
physical
anything.
I got you.
And the thing about it is there was a big bad guy. There was a corporation behind it all.
Really?
There was all of this other stuff. Yes, it was biological. So
not
it had
the show
to be,
though, right?
There's the problem.
Mm.
There was always a main reason behind the whole outbreak.
Okay.
And there was all sorts of ideas of the hell's the door to hell and death was locked and people were coming alive that way, or there was the whole situation of biological warfare gone wrong, or all this other stuff. And it only made sense for it to be a corporate conspiracy covered up by the government. And the thing about it is in the show, they made it seem like the government didn't even exist anymore. Whereas in the comics, there was a slight bit of, militia left.
Yeah.
But it was
not enough to really help.
Yeah.
It's there. It's just.
Yeah. And then you find out all these daggone guys have all this breathing equipment, armored, this, that, and the other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We're talking heavily financed. So, yeah, there was a lot.
Lots of money.
Is it big enough for that? That's why.
Wouldn't be surprised. But I will say this much. The comic creator didn't want it to actually follow the comic book either. And also, the game doesn't follow either.
See, that's the thing about Game of Thrones. For me, I'm curious to see if the books are going to follow what the TV show did. Because the books aren't, the end isn't written yet.
The comic books don't.
Okay.
I don't see the books doing the exact same thing either. And I know that the video games don't.
I have not known that. Okay. I haven't played the video games.
I didn't play the video game. I couldn't figure out how to. Like, I was. It's like it has like these like fighting things, and you're trying to fight, and nothing happens, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I gave up after a time.
More of a choose your own adventure than actually choosing, but in certain cases, you've got to choose to kill somebody.
Yeah.
In other words,
yeah, you have to.
No, you got a child in danger and you got the adult in danger, and you can't save either. I mean, you can't save both, so you have to save one. And here's the catch: sometimes the person you save is the worst one you could, because they create problems later.
Dang, I think I'd save the kid.
A lot of people did, and the thing about it is that
he grows up to be a monster.
A monster.
No. He ends up making more mistakes just like that, and more people die because of the choice between the kid or the adult.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wow.
That girl is one of the big ones in that. Jeez. That girl, I'm sitting there the whole time going,
Which game are you talking about? Because the one that I know is on, like, games consoles. I never played.
This one is on PC, game consoles, and a few other ones. And this one is a choose your own adventure from Telltale Games.
Okay. I didn't play that one. I tried to play another one where there's battle and fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
And there
is that one, but
that one was so horribly made that you can't win.
Yep.
So
that's what you're talking about.
You're trying to move and try to fight, and nothing's happening, and you're like, why isn't my character doing anything?
Yeah, pretty much.
And you're like, okay, I give up. I'm not playing this game anymore. I can't take it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, when it comes to, I hate to say this, but people like me that are like, we remember a lot of the older stuff, like what entertainment used to be like versus what it is now. And I remember TV shows like, Three's Company.
Hillbillies.
No, Three's Company.
Oh.
And the controversy it caused.
Oh.
There was a huge controversy when it was first released. And you're talking about John Ritter, one of the nicest guys in Hollywood ever. And he got a lot of flack. And this is after Mork and Mindy, who had the same controversy. Yeah. Because Mork and Mindy were living together, but not married. And here's how they justified it. They're not the same species. But yet in the same instance, they ended up getting married later on in the series. And it was mainly because of the fact being that that's what everybody wanted. And sometimes, and I hate to be this way, but movies, film, radio, music, books, comics, it doesn't matter. A lot of times, the fan base dictates what you have to do. Because if you do something that the fan base is not going to like, what's the point?
Exactly.
And because unfortunately, a lot of these people are doing it for the money, and a lot of these sponsors are doing it to get their money back for what they invest in. And anybody that knows anything about Hollywood knows what a producer does. They know what a publicist does. They know the marketing. They know what makes a good film, and that names sell.
True.
Yes.
And if you want to see behind the scenes, what was it? It wasn't Jennifer Love Hewitt, was it? No, Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston was under contract for 2 shows at the same time.
Ooh.
One of them was Friends.
What was the other one?
Something called the Muggles or Moogles.
It wasn't the Muggles.
Muggles.
It was either the Moogles or the Muggles.
Well, the Muggles are a Harry Potter thing, so I doubt it was that.
It was a comedy. Well, both of them were technically comedies. But the thing about it is Jennifer Aniston was stuck in a contract. So CBS moved the times. And from moving the times of certain shows,
that messed it up, right?
Made it to where they had to cancel the next season of the one show and go, and she was signed on to Friends. And from there, well, the rest is history.
Yeah.
And even worse is the one who played Monica was after Jennifer Aniston's character, but only went with Monica because of the fact being they wanted Jennifer Aniston for that character.
Makes sense.
And a lot of people don't know this. They think that somebody goes in for a part and they get the part, or the writer writes in for one person to do that part.
I mean, it can happen, but that's incredibly rare.
Yeah.
It is highly rare, but needless to say, J.K. Rowling was Snape.
Yes, I was going to say.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah, that role was written around him. She had an idea of what she wanted Snape to be, but like even with the filming, a lot of it, she just said, you know, here's the general idea. Have fun. If you want to deviate from the script, deviate. I trust you. We need Snape to be broody because you want to see him as broody. Whatever he thought Snape was is what she...
You have the other half. You have a person with a story idea. You have this one person, male or female, doesn't matter, who's at the top of the trend list at the moment, but doesn't have a contract of any film they're doing. Somebody in the line of the director or producer likes this film because they get pitched to it. And they're like, I already know who I want. And they get the part without any discussion whatsoever because of the fact being it's about marketing that person more than the film.
In that role. Yeah.
Sandra Bullock. All I gotta say.
I actually like her.
She's talented, though. Yeah.
Yes.
She is absolutely wonderful.
I really like her, and I liked her in that Bird Box.
I never saw that, but the reviews were very, very gracious.
And she did it justice.
Good.
Now, I will say this much also. And then you have the other aspects of the acting community that happens, like with Robert Downey Jr., who went in for Iron Man for the audition. And he goes in, cocky as all get out, and says, I want this, I want this, I want this.
Yeah.
This. And they're like, wait a minute, who are you? And he's like, oh, Tony Stark, by the way. And it's already in character.
Yes.
And you know,
that takes guts to do too, because you have to completely shove your true self like way deep down in your gut and be like, okay, I don't care how many people this might offend, I just gotta grab that bull by the horns and go.
Yeah, but you've seen
there's a lot of actors that are like that. Not as many as you would think.
Doing at conventions. I'll be one way in the hallway, I'll go right in the door, sit down, and it's like a whole character change.
I used to LARP, so that's all I know how to do. So, I LARPed World of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade.
I love that.
My first character was a gangrel that was often mistaken for a Ventrue.
I was a Nosferatu.
And my second character was a Tremere.
Oh, nice.
And my third character was a Chemise. And my fourth character and last character was a Malkavian.
Okay, Malkavian's a little bit easier.
Well, a Chemise. The Chemise, we were on the Sabbat side at the time, so it was all Sabbat, so there was no masquerade.
I was about to say, because I was like looking at that going, wait, hey.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was making lots of weapons out of flesh and things, and we were just obliterating humans out in the open. It was pretty awesome. Yeah. I basically clustered a bunch of them together, and we bulldozed them through Chicago.
Yeah. I could see that.
It was fun.
Oh, I still remember whenever I first started doing Nero. And the thing about it is with Nero, it's all medieval and highly magic centered. So what did I do? I can't do much. So I'm not going to sit here swinging a sword. Screw that. I'm not doing that. So everybody's like, okay, so what you going to do? I was like, I'm the angriest gypsy you ever come across. If you don't have any alcohol, you don't get no healing. So everybody that had healing or resurrection had to give me alcohol, or they weren't getting it, or if I did do it, they got cursed afterwards. And I used to love it because I was sitting there going, okay, you can't never say the word "the."
You can't never say the word "the."
You a-hole! Oh my god!
And no, there's worse ones. Every time you finish a sentence, you have to say "love you."
I really hate you right now. Love you. I can't believe you did this to me. I love you. You asshole. Love you.
I will crush you to ribbons. Love you.
I will tear out your heart and feed it to my enemy. Love you.
I loved being a gypsy, and trust me, I was one of the most hated people in the entire camp. I was also at level 5, almost won the tournament. At level 5, going up against level 30s, almost won the tournament.
Nice.
Why didn't you?
Because of the fact being it, there again, level 5, ran out of spells.
You're like, I almost won at a level 5 against these assholes who are like 30.
And here's the thing, he still couldn't hit me.
Can you imagine being like the level 30s and being like, look at this little level 5.
Oh, that's what everybody did. That's what the entire place did across the board until he said, go. And I was like, I remember, you have to spell out and say every spell.
Yep.
So I cast silence. I cast this. I was just bulleting.
Were you LARPing or was that tabletop?
Huh?
Was that LARP?
Yes, that's LARP.
Okay.
And so you have package. You're throwing 10 to 15 feet to hit the other person. And I'm bulleting them like that. Needless to say, I had people chanting my name halfway through.
Nice.
I was like, oh, wow, what?
Hi.
You're like,
needless to say, after that fight, I had some people coming up to me going, I'm not underestimating you.
You're like a level 5 going up against level 30s and surviving? What?
Yes. And here's the thing. I went up against a level 20 vampire. Which is hard enough in the first place. And I was like, I cast silence. All of a sudden, you see him turn around at me, really mad, and this, that, and the other. He did it.
That is so messed up.
I cast silence. What?
Pushed him in front.
Guy's like, what? Oh crap! There's a pissed off vampire.
Oh no! Here's the worst thing. He was about to go around me, and all of a sudden he just hit you for 20, and then that's when he turned back around.
Oh dang!
So when you have battles like that, did you use a dice system or was it?
No, you had to keep all the numbers in your head, and it was based off of an honor system.
Oh.
And the meanest joke, this is the meanest I've ever been.
Oh no!
I went, and you got to think, at this time I was up there. I was like a level 12 to 13.
Mm-hmm.
So I still couldn't take on the big guys, but I could handle myself.
Okay.
Oh me! I had 5 undeads at level 20 to level 25 coming at me. They had killed off the entire rest of the camp.
Oh shit!
I was the last guy living.
Oh boy!
I'm sitting here going, "Oh, so y'all come after me? Okay, go ahead." And I just stood there. And I had one packet in my hand. And I touched myself and cast it in prison. Meaning they couldn't touch me. So they're sitting there going, 20 massive, 20 massive, 20 massive. No effect, no effect, no effect. And they're like, wait, what? And I was like, no effect. 20 massive, no effect. What? And all of a sudden, they called the guy that's the head of Monster Camp over, and he was like, 20 massive, no effect. And this guy was a level 25 coming at me. Me and him had an ongoing war that was friendly, but it was funny to watch.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
And so, oh yeah. And he loved putting me down. So he was like, 25 massive, no effect. And he was like walking around in a circle and everything like this, and I'm just standing there, not moving, right? Mm-hmm. He comes by and he whispers in my ear, "You put yourself in prison, didn't you? Can't touch this!" No, no, no. He was like, it only lasts 10 minutes. And I'm like, I got 2 more. You want to keep going?
You can't touch this.
Oh my goodness.
I can totally see that.
Guy in the entire camp that did not die that day.
Nice. Like, I'm alive. Stay alive. I'm a survivor.
I told you, I am mean. There's a reason people don't play D&D with me.
Well, that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
No.
Whoa.
First time I ever played, this is back in like version 2, I think it was, when the druids came out. Mm-hmm. And with the druids, you could control animals. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I controlled was birds. And I kept multiplying them.
Oh, no.
I had them steal and rob the entire town.
I'm gonna steal and rob the whole entire town with a bunch of birds. No one will suspect the birds. Tweety bird is coming for you.
So I'm sitting here going, Raven, 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 bring me food and gold. And all of a sudden, yep.
Wow.
Awesome. The power of gold and silver and food brought to me by birds.
People sort of knew almost immediately, we don't want this guy to play D&D anymore. They're like, he would kill out the entire camp just to do a sacrifice, raise us all from the dead afterwards, just to sit here and say he could. And I was like, been there, done that. And they're like, wait, what?
Oh, jeez.
That was fun. It was a temple that was infested by a sandworm. Mm-hmm. And then from the sandworm, you go deeper down. There was a daggum freaking demon imprisoned at the bottom. But it had emerald spiders encasing the whole place. So what did I do? I went straight for the demon, ignoring the spiders. And then I sort of ran out while the demon was fighting the spiders. Of course, the rest of the team got caught, but I didn't.
You're like, I don't care, I survived. Bye! Thank you for playing!
I had a baby gold dragon. Of course I can survive.
You're like, bye!
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't think I will play an MMORPG with you if you're gonna do that to me.
I have to admit, a lot of people don't like when I play. Because it's like, you did what?
You did that on purpose?
When I went, and I have some DMs that actually love trying to kill me, and one actually wasn't able to do it because I created a thief with nothing but agility factors. And so here I am trying to rob just a few people in town just to get a little cash. He daggum sends the whole law enforcement of the entire town after me. They can't kill me. So he has trolls, ogres, invade the town just to try and kill me. Then from there erupts a volcano, and I'm jumping from stone to stone on top of the lava. And he was like, unless you roll a 20, how about 2? And 1 right after the other.
Oh, God.
And he was like, oh. And I was like, what?
Why do I tolerate you?
Why do I tolerate you?
No, it was really funny because I was like, I did a bluff on one of the guards. I was like, if you don't let me go, I'm going to turn the moon red and curse the entire town. And he was like, you can't do that. And I was like, fate roll. All of a sudden, a 20.
Oh, no.
And I was like, perception check. Of course he went insane.
Yeah.
I would too. You loaded your dice, didn't you?
Nope.
No.
risk at all. I just know how to manipulate certain things. And if I can't find one way out, and Shannon knows this all too well. If I can't find one way out, I can always find another one.
Yup.
No. Have you ever played Escape Room like they have them now?
No, everybody wants me to.
You need to.
See,
though.
yeah, everybody tells me I need to because it's one of those that they really believe I would win.
Think
Just
your way out of the box.
yeah.
You're excelling at that, so.
I mean, if you can do
Yeah.
that.
What theme would you do, though? They have all kinds of different ones now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Let's say they have one of everything. What theme would you prefer to do?
Library.
That's it, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like a Sherlock Holmes themed.
No, if it's Sherlock Holmes, that means it's going to be the locked room type scenario, and that's too easy.
Okay.
If it was like the book Trap in Silent Hill 3, I think it is. That's beautiful.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Silent Hill 2 and 3 were my favorites.
I like Silent Hill, all of them.
Silent Hill 4 was holy mother McCree.
Probably.
What were they thinking? Jeez.
Is that a good Holy Mother? Or is
And
that a
I'm
bad
probably
Holy
the
Mother?
weirdo
Really?
who
Really?
I'm the only
Scares.
person who likes Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Yeah. It was psychedelic more than reality.
Psychedelic? What?
Yeah. You have a face staring at you while you're trying to search the room.
Mm-hmm.
And the face is as big as the wall.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah.
A little creepy.
Yeah,
and then
it's
you
a
enter
little bit.
another one, and there's only an eyeball staring at you.
Oh, that's just creepy.
And it's a room that you can't get out of, but for some odd reason, you keep getting out of it.
I just laughed.
You can't get out of it, but you got out of it.
And about 20,000 others did that exact, including me. I was like, stop it.
Just
stop it,
grab
stop
a
it.
book.
Does it hurt yet? Does it hurt yet? Does it hurt yet? Does it hurt yet?
Have
Am I
you
going? Am I
have
going?
you
Am I going?
have you played Parasite Eve?
Yes.
I got all the way to the boat with the baby, and when the baby starts chasing you, I kept running into the room with the baby. I was like, no, I just... I was like, no, you ran the wrong way. You ran the wrong way. Why?
How is it you keep running in the wrong room?
I don't know, but no matter...
How is that possible?
Because it kept changing the direction of which, when you move through the rooms, it changes the direction in which you use
because
your
it
controller.
switches depending, but it only goes in one direction.
No.
It did? I thought it only went in one.
So I was
again,
I was
I
going
still
forward,
went
and it made me go backwards. I was like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah. I will say this much. I still like Dino Crisis. That was amazing.
But Parasite Eve was my favorite series.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. I mean,
I really like the science behind it, and I don't understand why they didn't make any more besides the third birthday, which was...
They have been petitioned left and right to remaster it or to remake another one or something. And so far, nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Same scenario with a few other games I can mention.
Like, they remade Resident Evil so many times, why can't they do that with Parasite?
True.
No, they did a sequel type scenario. Here recently, they remastered one of them only.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that was to be honestly true, I would love to see a remaster of the very first Silent Hill.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Holy crap. Not possible.
Mm-mm.
I am friends with the girl who did the music for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Right.
it will never happen
Why?
because the guy who created it left the series.
No.
He was done with it after they daggum killed it with Shattered Memories.
Yeah. That's got to be hard when you see something that you know started out really good and you have this
They
idea.
wanted it to end.
And
He wanted it to end, and then they had creative differences, and the creative differences ruined it.
Well, it's kind of
But
like
I will say this much. 4 was epic, but it put plot holes throughout the entire storyline.
Yeah.
yes. I've never watched them, but I've read the summaries of them online. Yes.
4 put in so many plot holes. We're not even going to discuss.
They
Now
had to
they
pick
did.
that thing apart, left and right.
Have you played
They did everything they could possibly do to tribute to the others.
Mm-hmm.
But it sort
It
of
didn't
made
save it.
no.
Mm-mm.
It not only didn't save it, it didn't.
It almost hurt it more. Like, it reminded you of, hey, this is how it's supposed to be done.
Well, yes and no. Here's the problem. You had the right type of aspect on the monsters. You had a right type of aspect on the main character.
Yes.
But you had a very bad aspect on why he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He should
good point.
not have been there.
What do you think of the Silent Hill movies?
Oh, it makes me sick and it makes me happy, but I gotta separate the two. So as long as I separate the two, I'm fine. I try and say one is related to the other, not on your bloody well life.
So is that you like the movie or you don't like the movie?
I liked the second one, to be
liked
honest.
the movie for what it was, but I don't say it's Silent Hill.
Yeah.
I say it's
Okay.
it's named Silent Hill, but not for the game.
Not for the game.
Understood.
It has nothing to do with the game.
So is the game better than the movie, guys?
Oh yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
The game.
The first game was
You
my
want to talk about
favorite.
the first one. It's the most terrifying for the longest time for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Until the door came along, it was the number one.
I can't watch the gameplay on YouTube, put it that way.
Uh-uh.
I read the
Yeah.
summary, so I know the basics, but, like, I've tried.
There is a
That
lot
first jump
of
scare,
people.
I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
I can hear it coming. I can see it coming, and it just nope.
Did you play the survival game Until Dawn? It's a PlayStation 4 game. I don't know if it's on any other things.
I know it. I've seen the walkthrough on it, but I can't play it because it takes too long to play.
really?
It's
It really does.
like, I have to say,
Otherwise, if you try and play it at 2 different times, you're going to lose your place.
You will lose your place.
There's no way around that.
It's
You
like
have to play
it's
it
a
in
really
person.
long movie, and it's an interactive movie game. And when you're playing it, you're trying to keep all your characters alive, or you just let them die, and it changes the storyline. So I have not gotten to the point where I can save everyone.
No.
It's so hard.
Sorry, y'all.
Too many kill everybody.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, they salvage maybe one or two people, and that's about it. And I will say this much: the number one that they always do is that one girl.
Mhm.
The one blonde girl is usually the only one that survives afterwards, unless they switch places with the dark-haired girl, which that makes me disturbed.
Is either one of them hot?
Both of them are hot, technically. It's just that one's the damsel in distress. The other one is the I want to kick your butt.
Ooh.
Which one do you think? The dark-haired is the
kick
I
butt.
want to kick your butt. Yeah.
I think I'd save her because she sounds more resourceful.
She is, but she's combative, and she fights you every tooth and nail.
Oh, she fights. Oh.
Yeah, every single thing that you want to do, she's against.
Versus the damsel in distress,
Versus
who
the damsel,
can't do squat, but she's gonna go along with you the whole entire
she
time.
follows you the entire time.
Ooh.
And it makes her easy to survive.
Mhm.
She's the one that's easier to keep alive. The black-haired one is a challenge.
The guys are harder to keep alive than the girls.
No, you're not. Come on.
I had a hard time keeping the guys alive.
Oh, that's near impossible. They're trying to save the girls, and that one girl don't want saving. She wants to get into the middle of the fight. Jeez, really?
Let's kill him. No, let's not.
like-
No, really, let's kill him.
Then you have the one cowardly guy that doesn't want to fight.
Oh,
he gets
no.
thrown to the wolves.
Oh,
I was like, bye, you can die now.
Yeah. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya.
Yeah, they're,
I don't want to hurt anyone. I'll just sit in the back and watch. That's okay.
No.
but it's a really cool game. I like the concept. I feel like it was a bit long just because of the style of game it is.
Yes.
It's really hard to stop playing and then go back to play it again and remember what you did.
Yeah, and what you're supposed to do.
What's it called again?
It's called Until Dawn,
Yeah.
Dawn. I'm gonna Google it.
and it's
And
pretty
it
much
is an interactive movie.
it's an
more than anything else.
interactive
It's
drama
full
and
cutscene.
survivor horror video game. And it's pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of another company that I like, but it's more of the horror genre versus, action adventure.
Yeah.
One of my favorite game companies is Quantic Dreams, and they made Indigo Prophecy, which is also known as Fahrenheit.
Oh, beautiful game.
That's my favorite game of theirs. But I do like
it was so
Heavy
freaking
Rain.
hard to get out
They
of the
also
apartment.
made Heavy Rain, and they also made Beyond Two Souls,
Heavy
which
Rain
had
was
Ellen Page and
easier game
Willem Dafoe.
than Indigo Prophecy. Indigo Prophecy is probably one of the toughest games I've ever seen in my life.
I beat the shit out of that game.
To do it without a walkthrough.
I didn't
everything to get out of the apartment.
I didn't use the walkthrough. I beat the
How in the world did you know to pick up the daggum freaking, medicine and the daggum, do everything, including what was on the porch?
I don't know. I just started playing the game. Well, the first time I played.
Oh, I bet you anything. You let the cop in and ran out, didn't you?
The first time I played
you cheater!
the first time I played the game, I beat it the first time I started hiding stuff. So basically, it said game over. I was like, what?
Yeah. You can do it really fast if you just avoid everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go like I do, I like to try and find everything. And because I like trying to find everything, I was bound and determined to prove him innocent.
Oh, when you play that first part of that game, you could beat it within.
Oh yeah, I know if you cheat. Yeah.
I didn't cheat.
See, there's a thing in the bathroom. If
Yeah.
you do that, you don't kill the guy.
Yeah. I didn't.
Really?
Yeah. Nobody knows about that until after the fact.
That's great.
Jeez. All you have to do is do that one, what is it, that plunger?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You do that one plunger thing, and yeah, that was it. And unfortunately, I ran out of the bathroom and didn't clean up a thing. Then from there, I cleaned up everything at the apartment.
Yeah.
After everything. So, of course, the cop is suspicious as crap. I ended up, daggum, so many people were after me. They had a wanted poster out on me. All this other stuff. I'm sitting here just like, I'm restarting the game. I don't care. I restarted that game so many times because I did not want it to end that way.
Oh my god.
What?
I've had, like, have you tried for the multiple endings?
No, because there's those two endings. It's near impossible to get.
Well, I got at least 4 of them. I don't remember all of them.
I was about to say, there is the 4, but then there is, that means you're missing, what, 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was about to say, you're missing the 3, and 2 of them are near impossible because you have to do it to where you are never a suspect. So you have to clean up the bathroom, you clean up the apartment, you clean up the table so they don't find any clues of the guy that was there. Mm-hmm. So there's a conflict of interest there because what the witnesses say and what is on the table is totally different.
Got you.
There's a lot, and then you still have to talk to the bum that's behind the bar, behind the diner, to get him to technically not notice you. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot you have to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, jeez, it is so intricate, and you got to do everything in the game. You got to find everything.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Technically, you know halfway through the game who's after you and why.
And I really like how it has interactive, like, things are happening and you have to push certain buttons to make things continue.
I hate that office when those things come out. It's like, wait, can't fight them? And they're like, no, you can't fight them.
You have to run.
But they're right there. You can't fight them.
So what do you do?
Technically, you're either supposed to take the doorway or you're supposed to run around them. And where they're located at is near impossible. So you have to find that one path to go out around.
I died a bazillion times and something.
Oh yeah, trust me, you do.
You do.
You have the door on the side that you can just go stall that one that's coming after you.
Okay.
And go around him barely, and then go through the door. That way you're leaving the whole area. But the problem is that they already know where you are, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah.
So you've got to time it right, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
for that one, you do. Because if you don't pause him just right, he will move and he will kill you. Mm-hmm. So then you have to go, what is it? You have to go around the cubicle, go up to the left, then back, get in that one stall, wait for that one to cross, then go out, come up, and go around.
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
Yeah.
And you don't know that at all unless you see a walkthrough. So you're technically blindsided it.
Or unless it's like, hey, I lived this far, I died. Okay, I lived a little longer, now I die. I'm going to go in here.
That's what that game was meant to do.
Oh,
Heavy Rain is the exact same thing.
Heavy Rain is one of my favorites as well, but I liked Beyond Two Souls as well.
You pressed the wrong button.
Okay, I'm too angry of a gamer to play these kinds of games. Destroy my whole entire game system.
Don't ask Gina. Don't ask Gina how many controllers I broke.
Now have you thrown them into a wall?
Ask
you
her.
Just squeeze them to death.
No, I went like this.
I've squeezed mine to death.
Yes.
I went to turn, and when I went to turn, it went like that. And I heard a crunch.
Oops.
Needless to say, I was like, I need a new controller.
And she's like, these things aren't cheap, dude.
Nails into places that they're not supposed to go, and like, click.
Oops.
Yeah, like just you see a button cover pop off, and it's like, that wasn't supposed to. That's work anymore. Throwing it into the wall.
One of the best conversations I ever had about video games was with Kyle Rivera.
Oh no.
Was with who?
Yes.
Oh, poor sweet baby Kyle. Oh no.
Oh yeah. I come by and I was sitting there talking to him, and he was talking about Call of Duty. So guess what? I showed him that song by Miracle Sound, and we're sitting there listening in the middle of a con going, I suck at Call of Duty. And I was like, Kyle, this is our theme song. And he was like, that is so true.
Do you know if he's a rage gamer?
No, he's not.
You know what?
He's not
I
a
used to
race
play what is it called? Soul Calibur 5 with people, multiple people, and you can hear them on the voiceover because we all have the headsets and stuff. I'd be singing the whole time I'm kicking ass, and they'd be like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. They're like, are you a girl? And I'd keep singing, you're all gonna die today. I'm gonna kill you. And then the other thing I used to do was giggle non-stop while I'm killing them. So I'd be laughing the whole time, and they're like, you're sick. You're sick.
Yes.
And I'd be...
Oh, no. I've got a story for this one.
Uh-oh.
And this one's pretty bad.
Uh-oh.
My ex-wife loved Harry Potter.
Ooh.
Okay.
So she bought the PlayStation 2 game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. I know where this is.
So there's this part in there where you're supposed to cross this river of lava. Mm-hmm. And she kept dying. And so I'm sitting here laughing my butt off with a friend of mine, and I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. So she catches fire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Harry Potter, burn in hell. Harry Potter, burn in hell. All of a sudden, the friend I'm with, we start chanting it. Harry Potter, burn in hell. She's yelling at us, trying to get him to go across the river. Harry Potter, burn in hell. Harry Potter, burn in hell. We're distracting her so bad she keeps killing us. And because she keeps dying, I'm sitting there going, we did it again. And that's why I was like, she goes, I'm going to throw this at you. I was like, yeah, and Harry Potter will still burn in hell.
Oh my gosh.
Thing with Bard's Tale and Persona as well.
Oh, yes.
You'll sit there in the background while your wife's playing Persona, and you'll make commentary, and she's like, shut up, David. I know, David, okay?
I'm playing the game, not you.
Bard's Tale, don't even get me started.
Oh.
You're gonna die today.
You're gonna die today.
I
could let you live, but I get money if you die, so. Just like, David! And don't even get me started. This man loves to tip cows and kill chickens.
Wait, what game is this?
There are achievements hooked to this, but even if he's filled the achievements, he's like, chicken, dad. I'm like, leave the bloody chickens alone, David. Chicken. I kill you.
What are you playing, Fate?
In the background chanting Harry Potter burning in hell. Like, what? I would have turned around and just thrown the game controller at you. I'm dying already! Shut up!
Harry Potter, burn in hell. I can see that. You know what? If they make a game where I can play Snape, I would totally play Snape.
Oh my
jeez.
gosh.
You know what that's making me remember, right?
What?
The Harry Potter puppet.
Harry Potter puppet show.
The little...
Snape.
Snape.
Severus Snape. Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
Voldemort.
Oh my goodness.
We used to do that whole entire thing, and me and a bunch of chorus kids would just randomly during class. Severus Snape.
Dumbledore.
Yeah, we had like 5 or 6 of us, and we all had a distinct character.
Yep. I would so be Dumbledore.
Dumbledore.
Hermione.
Grindelwald.
Ron
Weasley.
Ron Weasley.
Oh my
Harry Potter.
the memories.
And then, of course, the other videos they had in that series.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, Wizard Swears.
Oh,
Wizard Swears
yeah.
killed me.
Wizard Swears.
Did you ever see that one?
Mm-mm.
Oh, please
Oh,
go on
it's
YouTube and look it up.
Is it
Harry
Wizard?
ends up cussing out Neville.
Yeah.
No, let me explain. Dumbledore teaches Harry a wizard swear, but he makes them all swear to him not to ever use it, and they end up using it on Neville.
Yeah.
And it's like, your mother's a beep! 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 With a side of beep! The castle far, far away where no one can hear you, beep! It goes on for like 2 minutes straight. And the whole entire time, the Dumbledore puppet is like flailing side to side. It's going everywhere. And so Harry's like, whoa.
What
You
about
must
the?
promise never to use it.
What about a Harry Potter musical?
Oh, the Harry Potter musical by Star Kid.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Love Star Kid. That musical got me into everything they've been doing, and it's
Me
just like
too. I especially.
so many iconic moments.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
I especially like the pig
You-
farts.
Severus are a butt trumpet.
Butt
You
trumpet.
know why? Because you have a trumpeting butt. Yes, that's your butt right now. Ha, who looks stupid now? You do.
You do.
It's great.
I want a rocket so I can go to pig farts. It's on Mars. And its headmaster is Rumble Roar.
Oh, jeez.
Ooh, it's a lion. I think that.
I'm also very good at finding things. Oh my gosh. Have you ever seen it, David?
Yes.
Okay. So
My favorite is
Oh,
the
that's
second
good.
one, actually, because I like the Evil Deed song.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I have a favorite. All of them are good. Even that third one.
I was about to say, yeah.
I think it's just the song that I like the most.
Yeah.
That's like Descendants, all that.
Oh, I love
So
the
many
Descendants.
songs from that I'm like, I shouldn't like, but I do.
I will admit, this last Descendants movie, though, there's some moments I'm like, plot-wise, that doesn't really make sense.
No, there's
Or
a
I'm
lot
sitting
of
here
them
going, can I please strangle the main character? Because the things she's doing, I'm like, you idiot.
I know, you want to slap her in the
but
face.
the writers did it on
There's
Sing
other.
a whole song about kissing you instead of just kissing you and finding out if it works.
Mhm.
And it's funny, though, because even the other characters are like, come on, hurry up.
Yeah.
Just freaking kiss him already.
Just do it.
It's not
Put
that
her
hard.
lips on your mouth.
Because every time she gets close, she's like, no! And she, like, goes off and starts
Goes
singing,
off.
and everyone's like,
Yep.
really?
Yep.
Come on now. But the soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah.
All of
Totally
them have
agree.
been. I really
Yeah.
liked the Descendants series.
Yes.
Just because they take tradition and then they continue it, but give it life.
I hate to say it, they need to do something similar to that in a whole different lineup, because Telltale Games, the Big Bad Wolf was an absolute, that whole storyline was phenomenal. And there's a reason it went so huge. And that put Telltale Games on the map. Regardless of all the other stuff it did, that to me put them on the map. Because that was a twist on the storyline. It turned the big evil into something you could relate to. And not only that, it spun all the other characters into a realistic world instead of the all good, all evil, lines right here type scenario. It made them all relatable, especially the twins from Alice. I was like, are you kidding? What? Really? Jeez. And, you know, there was just so much into it that was able to be built off of.
Yeah.
As a writer myself, I'm sitting here the whole time going, how in the world did they come up with this of making a big bad wolf the main, protector of this whole, aspect of. I mean, come on. If I was going to do a protector, I would have done the Axeman. But in the same instance, what they ended up doing was making him a drunkard and abusive as crap. And then they had certain ones of them that were actually together that were never meant to be together.
Have you seen, it's a really old show, though, but you're reminding me of it, The 10th Kingdom?
Yes.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
We will cheer you.
First off, I mean, there's a lot of history to that whole 10th Kingdom thing. And a lot of people don't realize when it comes to Japanese animation, Japanese myth, this, that, and the other, it all comes from, old mythologies. And some of them are real, some of them are not. Like the 13th Samurai. The Seventh Samurai. All these other stories that were based off of, they have a piece of truth in them. And so when it comes to the Seven Samurais, and that was probably the first one of that series I'd never seen the movie, never seen anything else, just the anime.
Okay.
And as soon as I found out that was based off of a real thing that happened, I was like, okay, I need to find out what really happened. As soon as that happened, I was like, wait a minute, there's a movie? And it went from that to doing storyline after storyline of what was there, what had happened, what really did happen. And wow, it just made me love the story that much more because it was so relatable. And they did it justice. And it was surprising as all get out. And then when you look at like some of the storylines that they do out of Gundam, some of the storylines they do out of, say, Black Lagoon, and some of the other ones, they're relatable because it bases off of certain aspects that were actually true. And so I was like, wow, there's a lot of fact in a lot of that stuff that still, is looked at as fiction. A great story has a bit of fact in it. And that's where it comes from. I get fascinated all the time by anime.
Anime was my first love. When it comes to animation.
I love Speed Racer and Star Blazers.
I don't remember what my first anime is. So I can't even find it because I watched it on TV. It was on a station that had anime at certain times or whatever. And it was like, I can't remember the name of it, but I remember that Bubblegum Crisis played before or after it, and there was Babylon 5, and I just can't remember the one I really liked. It was like made in the 80s or something.
Mine was late 60s because it was Speed Racer, and it was already turned into English. With really, really bad dubs. But in the same instance, oh man, the storyline was so cheesy. But in the same instance, it was a fabulous storyline. It was dramatic as all get out. It was unlike any other cartoon that America was putting out because most of them had a moral story type whatever to it with hidden agendas. And Speed Racer was just plain out fun.
But I do enjoy.
You really wanted something, you couldn't be chicken about it.
You
had to stand up, and you had to do something. You couldn't let somebody else do it.
Yeah, you gotta do it.
And what Speed Racer taught me in every part of it was that if I wanted anything done,
you gotta do it yourself.
If I didn't do it, somebody else is going to. And that's what it proved with, that storyline was because Speed Racer was always competing with the Mask Racer, who happened to be his brother. And because of that in of itself, he the clues were right there, and everybody knew it was his brother, but nobody was about to say it because of the fact being, what if it was wrong? Yeah. And that was the biggest thing throughout the entire series of what if we think it is and it isn't. And so what ended up happening was he was always competing and always competing and always competing. Sometimes he'd win, sometimes he'd lose. And that's what you never saw in American comics.
Yeah.
You never saw that in American cartoons. The hero losing?
Yeah,
Really?
the losing is not possible.
Spider-Man was the only one.
Okay.
Now you're starting to see why it was one of Stan Lee's majors, because he knew that it would go the route of everybody else of saying, you know, it's going to be a Mary Sue type scenario where he's going to be untouchable. Mm-hmm. And he wanted him relatable, not untouchable. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, in that whole scenario, Speed Racer was the same way back in the day, is that, you know, you wanted him to win. In most cases, you thought he would win, but not always. And when he didn't win, you know, it was just the way it was. Mm-hmm. It was because of one thing or another, but, you know, he always had a reason why he had to not win. Mm-hmm. And so it come down to what's more important. And in a lot of cases, it happened to be his girlfriend, or his brother, or his pop. That's what it came down to. And it was absolutely astounding to watch because of me being at that age. It gave me, you know, courage to say it doesn't have to always be about winning. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just about what you do, even if you lose. And the idea of that and it
also means that even though you've lost, you can still play
not
the game.
Only that, but sometimes losing is the better option. Whoever thought of that? I mean, come on. Well, losing is a good option, but
you learn from your you learn more from your failures than you do from your success.
Yeah, Star Blazers, all about war and sacrifice. And the thing about it is I know when I was watching that series, the one thing I always knew, and it affected me more than it did anybody else that I thought even watched the show, I saw the explosions. I saw how many people were hurt and dying and all this other stuff. And I was like, I wonder why they don't ever show somebody dying. Next season comes across and somebody dies almost second or third episode. And it was one of the main characters. I was like, wow. You never see that in American comics. You never see that in the daggum, you know, American cartoons. And so I was like, okay, that's different.
All right.
Expecting that.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
A cartoon character dying? That's one of the main characters?
What?
They ended up killing the captain. They ended up killing one of the navigators. All this other stuff.
Oh, dude, the Robin Hood BBC show did that too. It was either I think it was the second season they kill Marion off. Yep. And the third season they kill Robin off, and it was like, what?
Yeah.
But does that mean there's not a fourth season?
I don't think there is. I think they were trying to do it, but after they killed Robin, it just
why in the world would you continue it?
Yeah. You know, you killed off the two main characters right there. You have. And, I mean, at that point, the sheriff's dead. Nottingham is destroyed, pretty much. Yeah. There really wasn't too much to do.
You can't salvage what not there. Oh,
gosh, there's a really old-school TV New York crime series kind of thing called Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I like that one.
They did a screw-up and a half.
When they killed Catherine off, that was it.
That was stupid.
And I love that series.
That was so stupid. Oh, yeah.
I love that series too.
That's like Dark Angel when they did what they did with that series.
Yes.
You don't do that to a series.
Or Buffy.
Jeez. Ugh. But yeah.
That last season of Buffy, I'll never watch again.
Buffy's even hard to watch now because I know where it's going.
Yeah.
It's like
or the last two seasons of Charmed.
Yes.
See, I never fully got into Charmed, so...
I knew it was going to go that way. As soon as they brought in Angels and Demons, I was like, it's only going to be about Angels and Demons now. There goes the whole supernatural anything.
It was cute in the beginning.
Oh, it was fantastic up until they did that.
Yeah.
When they brought in the Angels and Demons, I was like, you made it too far out there. No. You can't do that. And unfortunately, the same could be said about Supernatural in that aspect.
Yes.
Because when it first started, it wasn't just about angels and demons. And it was about the supernatural. When it came to X-Files, that's why X-Files lasted as long as it did. Was because it was about unknown phenomena.
Yeah.
They should have kept it at that. but they did. It always goes back to the same scenario: angel versus demon.
Yep.
I've yet to figure out why.
I don't know.
But it's a bad choice because that's when they jump the shark.
Yeah.
They're like,
as soon as that becomes the news,
another one bites the dust.
Yeah. Let's do the countdown right now. They should have never made it that way. They could have brought it in. They could have put a spin on Charmed in that aspect, and they didn't. But what do you do?
Can't do much of anything now that it's been over.
We go to radio shows and we talk about it, and we rant and we feel together. That's what we do.
We cry, we whine, we complain, we bring it back to life, and don't do that again. Oh, so
Do it right.
Why did you do that to me? Oh.
I know, right? Jeez.
So, Veronica Mars, they brought a new season on Hulu.
I know. I'm sitting here the whole time going, that's a little late, ain't it?
I was like, does that mean that she's going to the FBI? Because that was the preview of the
left and right for that to continue. And I have to admit,
she went to Heroes, and I was upset because she went to Heroes. But I liked Heroes, and I liked Veronica Mars. But when she went to Heroes, I was like, I hate you.
Yeah, you don't do that. You don't do that. Veronica Mars and Heroes is not right. That's just not right.
I liked Heroes, though, but that's what...
I liked Heroes for what it was.
Exactly.
Now, I did hate that they spun it the way they did.
Yeah,
They
me too.
should have had a big evil type whenever. But they did do one thing that a lot of shows don't do, and that's redemption. Mm-hmm. And
Yes.
I have to admit they did that not to the pleasing of everybody, but explanation of everybody. Mm-hmm. So because they explained it, this and the other, they didn't, you can't go back, reverse time, and undo what was done. Mm-hmm. But in the same instance, you can make it to where the person actually is able to benefit society instead of always trying to hold him accountable to society.
All right, so I think we went into overtime, but that's okay because they only heard part of what we said, but that's okay. So
The whole show, they've been like, wow, we're way over.
Way over.
Oops.
if they were able to hear it all.
No.
It's okay, though.
We've got a convention that we've been booked for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's excited about this one.
Yeah. For once, I'm not his sidekick.
Ooh.
They want me as an individual.
Oh, they want you as an individual. That's good.
I don't mind being a sidekick, but it's kind of cool when it's like, hey, we actually want you to do your own thing. It's like, whoa, really? Okay.
That's pretty interesting. So it's the convention. When is it? Where is it?
It's going to be KigaCon again. Yeah, we get to go back one more time.
Good con.
Oh,
A
absolutely.
little college con, but it's a very well run con.
Yeah, not that they treat everybody great. They partner up with Necco and a few other ones to actually do the marketing and advertising under those circumstances. They've got a very limited budget, but they're trying to expand it. They've got a huge following. They've got a huge core in this whole area. So it does really well for them in that. Not to mention the fact being they've got John St. John is a big fan of theirs. So it really does, suit the area very well for what it is. And there's not very much in a line of conventions possible around Suffolk. So it really is really, really good. So we're going to be there coming up next year. I think it's February, if I remember correctly.
Is it?
No, it's March because we had my birthday
That's right.
last time. So yeah, it'll either be the last of February or around the beginning to middle of March. They're still working on the dates. Doing a press release later in the I think it's either going to be the beginning of next month or the following week. I'm not sure. But they're going to be announcing that. I know that they've got some more guests, and they have some tables that they've already started booking. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But we're going to be doing a commercial for them, so that's going to be fun too.
That's going to be
It's
fun.
romance this year.
Well, horror romance.
Horror romance.
Well, it's going to be a mix of horror romance.
Ooh.
That's what they want.
Horror
so you're
and
talking
romance.
Vampire Night. You're talking
Ooh, the cosplay opportunities.
Chicky. You're talking all of these other type of, love and pain type of Frankenstein, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, Phantom of the Opera.
All I can think of right now is...
I've been wanting that costume for years. Now
one of my...
I am. You'll be whatever.
No, I'm not wearing the mask.
Oh, come on.
Now I want to be Pinhead.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
But yeah, that's what we're going to be. We just got booked for. We've got a few more coming up that I'm supposed to be talking to. We've got quite a few. I can't mention yet because we're still in the negotiations. Mm-hmm. But in the same instance, we've got about 3 right now we're talking to. So we've got that going on. Then we still have the voiceover. I've got another book that I'm working on, and we've got a radio broadcast we're working on. So, and she's already seen the script for it, and she likes it.
It's real good.
Sounds
exciting. 1920 style.
I know. I love that time period.
We're doing it the old school way.
You said 1820s?
No, 1920s.
I was like, I don't think there was a radio in 1820s.
Yeah, we're talking old music.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking speakeasies.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking mobsters.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking old CIA.
Mm-hmm.
When it first started, old KGB type aspects from way back when, before communism, and all of this other stuff going on. A lot of cloak, dagger, intrigue.
I like it.
So, it's called Levi Ethan, the Mystic Cipher.
The Mystic Cipher.
Dun, dun, dun.
I love it.
And if you know what that means, that's going to explain quite a bit of it. And that is a mystery. Mm-hmm. So, yep. He's the one guy that can possibly solve anything that happens, and it's one mystery that happens right after another, and they're all tied together.
Sounds like fun. Okay, guys. We just did Aimless Banter on Dark Star Radio. We had David Adkins, and for God, forgive me.
Shannon Lowe.
Shannon! Why can't I remember that name? Shannon Lowe! And we just did a few extra, minutes because I totally neglected you guys on the radio because I didn't know you couldn't hear us. So you missed the whole thing about Batman. Just saying.
Oh, yeah.
So it was great, though. It was great getting to know you guys. And I hope if you want to be on the show again, you can always do that. Aimless Banter is a talk show. We talk 2 hours non-stop. And there's no commercials. And if you want to invite your friends, you can. I hope you had fun with us listening to darkstarradio.com, and those of you who are going to be listening to the recording that I'm sending to SoundCloud. Thank you for joining us on Jessica Darkstar's Aimless Banter. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Adieu.
Okay, that was great. Thank you so much.